Welcome to Commander's Daily, everybody. It's your one-stop shop. Everything going on with the Burgundy and Gold. I'm Bob Matthews. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss a minute of our coverage. All right. Well, thank God it's Dallas week. You don't get to say that very often, but you know what? After Monday night, Dan Quinn said as much yesterday in his daily press conference. Thank God it's a short week because they can just forget about blowing that 8-point fourth quarter lead and focus on Dallas. Commanders have an opportunity here still. 3-3, not where they wanted to be, but they're 1-0 in the division, and they can pretty much, I don't want to say bury the Cowboys, but put the Cowboys in a big old hole if they can go down to Dallas and get the win this weekend. What did we learn Wednesday after practice? Well, for one thing, Noah Brown is on IR, wide receiver going on IR. Dan Quinn saying they tried to ramp him up last week, and he had another setback. They're really hoping they can get him healed without surgery. Hey, big, tall receivers that can do the possession game, they don't grow on trees. If they can get him back, it would be a big help. But as of right now, he's out for at least the next month. We did get a little bit of good news, if you want to call it that, in that Terry McLaurin, Quinn said, is progressing. They had him kind of a jogging speed, they said, on Wednesday. And today he's going to try and get through practice, kind of as a full go. If he can get through practice today, then hopefully, I think that means he'll be playing Sunday. Problem is, with this short week, they had practice yesterday, practice today. Friday is just a walkthrough, and then you fly to Dallas for the 4:25 kickoff. Doesn't leave you a lot of time to get Terry up to speed. Now, he is a pro's pro. He is Terry McLaurin, so hopefully he can overcome that. I don't think you're going to see him, though, even if he plays, go out, make 8 catches, and go for 110 yards or something like that. But if he takes some of the pressure off of the kids, well, that would be a very, very good thing. Watching the tape, we have done our film study. What did we learn? Well, we learned a couple of things. We'll get to the good news in just a second. What we learned about this team is that I think they're right there, smack dab in the middle of the NFC. They can be either good or bad. I think they're to the good because of the fact that they have Jaden Daniels, who can elevate just everybody. But, the downside of that is I think you're seeing at least, as we sit here going into week 7, this roster has some flaws to it. And they may not be flaws that you can fully, fix by the end of the year. And it may limit, how high the ceiling is for this team. It could be just as far as Jaden Daniels could take them, which, on his own, if it's the wild card or divisional round, that might be a good thing. We're going to find out a lot more here in the next few weeks. We also learned that on defense, there are some problems. And they are problems that have cropped up now in some consistent ways here in the first 6 weeks of the season. And I think it's going to be incumbent on Joe Witt and Dan Quinn to try and figure out how to fix them. Biggest one, unfortunately, is Bobby Wagner. Hey, first ballot Hall of Famer as a linebacker, right? No doubt about it. One of the best to play the game. But at 36, his sideline-to-sideline mobility and speed, it's just not there anymore. And you saw that quite a few times, and the Bears exploited it, and it's something I think the Cowboys can exploit too. A couple of plays that stood out to me for him. First quarter, DeAndre Swift got by him on a drag route. Third quarter, Rome Odunze gets behind him. I mean, he didn't even see him coming in behind him and couldn't make up the difference once he realized it, and it turned into a 21-yard gain. Wagner's still very effective in the run game, and if he's going downhill and going straight at somebody, he's not going to miss a tackle. God knows they could have used that when Quan Martin whiffed on the long touchdown run, but I digress. And turnovers. They have got to do better in the turnover game. Now, you don't expect them to turn the ball over 3 times in a game. I don't think that's going to – I think that was an outlier. But they have got to start taking the ball away from the other side. I mean, you saw it. Frankie Louvu had a surefire interception that he dropped. And then that long pass Caleb Williams should not have thrown to Rome Odunze in the third quarter. You know, the one where Savage and Quan had Odunze double covered. one of those guys has got to come up with the interception. They had position. They could have made the grab. You just got to make a play there. You just have to. If you don't, we're going to have more days like we had on Monday night. There was some good news that I saw on the tape. So let's go through that as well. Chris Paul, man, he has been just balling out. One of the few Rivera holdovers that's panning out. Everybody said he was a project when they drafted him. Well, I think that might be coming to fruition. I think he might have had the best game of any offensive lineman on the team. He was really solid, and that's good because we don't know what Sam Cosmi's status is going to be this week. But with Chris Paul out there, I think they don't have to rush Cosmi back. And I tell you what, once Cosmi does come back, I'm not so sure Chris Paul isn't going to keep his job on the offensive line or, at least move to the other side. Jacob Martin had some flashes on defense as well. And Luke McCaffrey, I'm continued to be impressed by him every single solitary week. Not just the long touchdown catch, and a beautifully run double move, but there were quite a few intermediate routes he ran where Jaden, wound up throwing the ball to Zach Ertz, who had a credible game. Zach Ertz was fine, but there were a couple of times had Jaden looked at McCaffrey, he would have had a lot more room to run if he had made the catch. I think it is, it's just a case of, making sure that that you trust him, if nothing else. So looking ahead to Dallas, I think we all know what the Cowboys bring to the table. They have got one hell of an explosive offense, but their defense is an absolute sieve. That is where the opportunity lies, I think, for the Commanders. Joe Witt and Dan Quinn have got to get this fixed on defense. I understand that Bobby Wagner is a great player and everything, and as I said, surefire Hall of Famer. But you can't have him on the field for every snap. They're going to exploit that, Dallas is, with their wideouts. So you got to figure out a way to do something to mitigate that. If you can, you only need as bad as Dallas's defense is, you only need to get a couple of stops literally on defense, maybe 1.5, and you're going to win this game by 2 scores. But that's easier said than done because that is one hell of an explosive offense. We will dive more into that tomorrow. All right, let's go ahead and open up the mailbag. As I kind of thought you guys would be salty when I asked you your impressions of the game, and you were. Shout out to at Kingdom Seeker 1532. I don't think they let it slip away. He said they gave it away. Asked JD what that fourth quarter exchange to Bill was. It is what it is. You move on to the next. You learn from that. I got to say that's exactly what Jaden did. He took accountability for it, as you knew he would, and that's exactly what they're doing. At BNegs 521, Commanders defense blows. Hard to argue with you on that one. And at King Cat's Tube, they refuse to use younger players, definitely a linebacker. Where was McGee? Bring in the rookies such as Medrano. Yeah, you got to do something. I don't know how it could be anywhere, at least on passing downs. You've got to try something because what you're doing is not working. But hey, we're not the ones on the practice field. Maybe they know something we don't. And shout out Terry Windsor 9779, our mate from Cardiff. Hey, Cardiff's playing well in League One, Terry. Yeah, poor display all around for the most part. As usual, the turnover battle wins the game. There are not many games where you turn the ball over 3 times and you win the game. Just mistakes, plain and simple. We're in a position to run the clock down and ice the game. Made a schoolboy error at a crucial time. Plus, the defense certainly needs to step up, or else this will be repeated and possibly worse. Shout out to Terry, keeping it locked down from Wales. Appreciate it, mate. All right, that's going to do it for us. We got to get on out of here. Drop a comment in the comment section. What is the key to righting this ship and getting the dub down in Big D this weekend? Talk to you again tomorrow. Remember, like the wise man once said, if you're out on your bike tonight, as always, do wear white.